Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Batman Rules of Engagement. Take a look at this comic cover right here. Now, Rules of Engagement is the first story from the Batman Confidential series. And the Batman Confidential series is very similar to the Legend of the Dark Knight comic, which was a comic series that would have rotating artists and writers that tell various stories from the early years of Batman's career, in continuity. But unfortunately, like all things, the Legend of Dark Knight series had to come to an end. However, Confidential picks up where the Legend of the Dark Knight series left off, in that it has rotating writers and artists telling some stories from Batman's career, in continuity. However, the difference between Confidential and Legend of the Dark Knight is that Legend of the Dark Knight focused mainly on the early years of Batman's career, where Confidential tends to focus more on big events in Batman's career, kind of the introduction of certain stuff. For example, Batman Rules of Engagement has the first confrontation between Lex Luthor and Batman, the introduction of the Batwing, Batman's personal plane, and even the creation of the Wayne Foundation. So you can see, even though they're not big things, it's still the smaller things that get introduced, and they are kind of important. So with that said, let's get into the story of Rules of Engagement. In the very beginning, Batman, Bruce Wayne, and Lex Luthor are in competition with each other, LexCorp and Wayne Tech, over the security and defense. Wayne has created these robots to disarm mines and to protect people, where Lex Luthor has created these killbots to protect America. It really comes down to one person's vote on who will win. At the same time, one of Wayne Tech's robots that go out to disable mines has gone around and killed people. Bruce Wayne doesn't like this happening, so he goes to investigate it. He finds that all fingers point to Lex Luthor. Apparently, Lex Luthor has a bigger plan stirring in his pot, and it's up to Batman to figure out exactly what it is. Because while this is all happening, things are going to shit. Batman is accused for murder. One of the chairmen of the boards for security and defense is accused for hiring Batman for murder. That means Lex Luthor basically gets all the votes he needs to win the competition between Wayne Tech and LexCorp. In addition to that, well, Lex Luthor is just plain being Lex Luthor, and he pulls a big move on America that I never saw coming, and it almost makes you wonder how the hell is Lex Luthor gonna get out of this one if he gets caught. So with that said, let's get into what I liked, didn't like, and whether or not you should get it. One thing is, I'm happy that Confidential is doing the same thing that Legend of the Dark Knight was doing. In that, the Legend of the Dark Knight really did focus a lot on Batman's early career, and I love the Legend of the Dark Knight series. Confidential seems to be focusing more on his middle career. For example, Batman Cat in the Bat, as you can see here, is going to be around Batman's 5th or 6th year of his career. Why? Because Barbara Gordon is Batgirl in that. Rules of Engagement I would put maybe somewhere in his 3rd year of his career. It takes place sometime after Terra, but before Nightcrawler, because Gordon is still captain here. So as you can see, this is kind of filling up the holes and the gaps in the middle of Batman's career. Since the big Crisis of Infinite Earth reboot, we obviously get new history for the characters, but a lot of the Silver Age history for characters stay pretty much intact. Obviously considered updated and not as campy, but still considered intact. However, in the day and age we live in, it would be nice to get some stories that reflect the Silver Age stories, or even new stories in general, that would fill in the gaps that the Silver Age is supposed to fill in itself. With that said, I am happy the Confidential series on a whole is in canon, in continuity, and it tells those missing gaps. So that's a long good. Second one is the writing for the most part is interesting and good. I think Lex Luthor was portrayed fairly well. Batman was portrayed good, however very self-doubtful and kind of the brooding Batman. Now, if you like the brooding Batman, that's a good thing. If you don't like the brooding Batman, it might be a little bit of a problem for you. But besides that, the writing was pretty good. The art was very dynamic, and while I may not call it my favorite art, it does get the job done. I do not like how the eyes are drawn in this. like Lex Luthor looks like a druggie the whole entire time because his eyes are so fucking dark. Besides that, the art does get the job done. Bad. The bad is that this story is very up and down. At some points it's good, at some points it's bad, at some points it's good, at some points it's bad. And very much when Lex Luthor pulls his big move, it makes you wonder, well, if Lex Luthor gets caught, how the hell is he going to get out of this in this story still being continuity? However, they work a way around it. So that's really one of the big bads, is it's kind of an up and down story. Second thing is, I think it's very kind of... The way that this story was portrayed was supposed to be a battle of wits back and forth between Lex Luthor and Batman. However, it didn't feel so much as a battle of wits. Rather, it just felt as though Lex Luthor made a plan and Batman goes to try to take care of it. I guess it really depends on who you are and whether or not that's a bad thing. However, I would have liked to see a little bit more of a battle of the wits. Despite all this, whether or not you should get it. Confidential at first, not confidential, but Batman Rules of Engagement at first kind of was on the edge of not getting for me. I picked it up along with The Cat and the Bat at my comic store because I wanted to get more of the Confidential series. I finished up The Legend of the Dark Knight series, so might as well start the Confidential. And as reading this, I was on the cusp of not recommending it to you guys. However, this is going to be my recommendation. This is just on the side of good. This is just on the side of worth getting. It is fun at points. The action is nice at points. And it ties into Batman's history fairly well. It's not a perfect story. It does have its flaws. Especially Batman being in the daylight. That felt a little awkward outside of Justice League. But it does have its flaws. So what I recommend is this. It is worth the price tag that you will pay for it. However, only get it if you have the extra money. If you don't have extra money and you really just want to get the essential Batman books, or if you want to get better Batman stories, more endurable stories, by all means, go out and get them. This would probably be on one of the stories that are last on your list. It will definitely be towards the bottom, but at least it will still be on your list. It is worth getting. I just recommend getting it later on. I would have liked to see a little bit more of a dynamics between Lex Luthor and Batman, but then again, we don't always get what we want. I definitely say in this book, the good outweigh the bad, but, you know, you get what you take here, so, or you take what you give here, or whatever. Whatever the word is. Blah. So with that said, I'm going to end this review here. Batman Rules of Engagement, pretty good stories. Confidential series, I'm really interested to see where it goes from here, because despite how this story was just mediocre, I do have high hopes for the Confidential series. And I'm going to be reading The Cat and the Bat next, and then the only book I probably won't pick up is Lever and Madman, because we've had enough Joker origins. It really is not necessary. So with that said, I'm going to end this review here. This is Andrew saying peace out for now.